I was putting together these profiles of attractive, intelligent, successful single men, and I found that they all had one quality in common. This was the one quality that was keeping them single. My name is Malaika Neri. I'm a professional Indian matchmaker. I help smart women find the right person for marriage and family. Let's talk about what is the number one factor keeping successful single men single and how to deal with it. So the men that I'm referring to are all Indian men. They're Indian men who have grown up outside India. They have grown up with parents who left India during their 20s or sometimes their 30s to work or study in the United States. And so these guys grew up with the Indian identity, but with an American lifestyle and in many ways an American mindset. So when I'm talking about these men, I'm referring specifically to men who are grown up in the US and who have an Indian background and value system. I was going through these profiles, putting together these profiles of smart Indian men for my clients who are Indian women based around the United States who want to find the right person with whom they can build a life, someone who actually complements them, someone who's ready to commit, ready to settle down. And all of these guys were educated professionals. They were doing very well in their careers. They all had six-figure incomes net, so they can definitely look after a family. And they wanted to look after a partner, and they really wanted to find the right person to commit, maybe even more than us ladies. So these guys were very serious about commitment. They were really nice guys. I interacted with each of them personally, and they also all did sports, so they were super fit. Some of them had six packs and like these beautiful muscles. So they were like 10 out of 10 in every way. Yet there was this one thing that on paper, when I analyzed everything about their profile, I realized that's the main reason these guys are single. This is the question that I ask myself every time I come across an attractive man in his 30s who's single. Why is he single? What about his profile is allowing the marriage market to leave him single? Why has no woman snapped him up until now? And throughout all these profiles, I kept seeing the same quality, the same characteristic show up. So what was that quality keeping these attractive, intelligent, successful, single Indian guys single? Here's what I discovered. All of these guys had a penchant for saving money. Now you might think, Malaika, saving money is a good thing. It's one of our Indian values. It's important to be frugal. It's important to be careful with your money. It's important to put money away for a rainy day. And I think that's what these guys think too. But these guys go beyond saving money. They are what we call in modern language tight. And you might think, hey, why is that a bad thing? So I'm going to break down in this video why these guys' obsession with frugality and with spending as little as possible is holding them back from finding the love of their life. So first of all, I want to start talking about energy. The universe likes flow. Money is just another form of energy. Money needs to flow, and the more that we're able to spend money, invest money, make money move, even if it's just different bank accounts, you're investing a little bit, you're saving a little bit, you're spending a little bit, money loves flow. And the more that you can spend and invest your money, the more money comes into your life. The less that you spend and invest money, the less money comes into your life. So although these guys had done a great job bringing money into their lives, they all have six-figure incomes net. That's where it stopped. The money would reach their bank account and then that was it. Some of it would go to investments, but then it wouldn't go any further than that. It wasn't benefiting anyone else besides these guys and maybe their families. Secondly, these guys weren't investing in anything besides their lives and a few holidays here and there. They weren't deeply investing in any sport or any hobby. So even if they loved a certain sport or were very passionate about a certain sport, they didn't go all out investing or spending on that hobby or passion like crazy, even though they could afford it. So one example is I love yoga. I really love attending yoga classes. So I have a choice to spend as little money as possible. The minimum that I can spend where I live is about $50 a month on yoga. And for a long time I did this because I didn't know if I should spend more. But after a while, I realized yoga brings me so much joy that that joy gets compounded. So I started spending more money every single month on a high-end yoga studio. So where I live, it's about between 100 and 200 bucks a month on a high-end yoga studio. Now, the studio also offers annual retreats several times a year, which are anywhere between $500 to $1,000 for a 3 or 4 day retreat. So I started spending on these retreats. And this year, I'm also spending on a month-long retreat in Mysore in the south of India to do yoga with a guru for a whole month. And this is an example of how I actively invest my money in yoga. It's not giving me any financial returns at all. It's just giving me returns in terms of joy and fun and excitement and deeply investing in my passion. So you want to look for this characteristic in a man with a high income. He has to have at least a couple of things besides him and his family that he's actively investing in and spending on to show you that he knows how to let the money flow to different aspects of his life. If he's not, that's an indicator that he is tight or miserly. All of these guys were not doing that, and I realized they hadn't built that habit of learning how to invest in things that just brought them joy, not because it has anything to do with duty or guilt or family, but just because it brings them as an individual joy. This is qualifier number one that you can use to analyze if a man understands how to invest in his own joy, because that will tell you if he's able to invest in your joy. The corollary to this analysis is you want to get clear on what kind of spending is important to you. So for me, it's super important to invest in yoga. I also invest in going to a nice gym and working with a trainer who can tell me exactly how to hit my fitness goals. You might want to spend on clothing or on restaurants or on building a house, building and furnishing your home, and so home decor might be something that's really important to you, or just vacations. The type of spending that is really important to you, you need to get really clear on that inside your ideal partner profile, which is a description of your ideal partner, so that you can communicate that clearly to any potential partner. And these guys I was working with, they're super nice, super sweet, gentle men. I think that they all have a learning mindset, but they just haven't built this habit of understanding how to spend money on things that don't make you money. So if it comes to investing in the stock market, yes, they all invest in the stock market. If it comes to taking their family out for dinner, yes, they all do that, but that's not the kind of spending I'm referring to. They are unable to invest money in experiences and things that brought them passion and brought them joy. And that's why they were single, is because their idea of spending money is my money has to work, or it has to address this guilt I feel at having this money by me spending it on my family or me sending money back home, which is fine, but then they're not spending any money on themselves or their own joy. So if you want a partner who's able to spend money on being a more joyful person, you need to understand what joy looks like for you, so you can communicate that as a value to him. The second thing that you want to do when meeting these kinds of successful Indian men is to understand where they're trying to cut costs. Now, we all cut costs on different things depending on what is less or more important to us. I noticed that most of these guys, they cut costs on their clothes. They just did not invest in clothes, and you could see that in many of their photos. A lot of these guys also cut costs on housing. They either lived in very low cost of living cities, which again reduced their options because the kind of women they wanted to meet lived in high cost of living cities. So they could not meet the kind of women they wanted to meet, and they were left frustrated and therefore single. They were just not in the environments where they would attract those kind of women, and the kind of women they wanted to meet were not interested in dating a guy who lives in a very low cost of living city, like, for example, Columbus, Ohio. They're not interested. So these guys were self-sabotaging their own options by living in these low cost of living cities, trying to make their cost of living as low as possible. One of the guys who I was working with was two of the guys were choosing to live with family members rather than living on their own, even though they could more than afford that. The way that I found that out is by analyzing how much is their rent as a percentage of their income. So the average successful six-figure professional should be spending between 20 to 33% of their monthly net income on their rent or mortgage. This is a standard figure, and it's considered healthy, it's considered safe, it's considered normal. But these guys were spending less than 15% of their monthly net income on their rent or mortgage. This is a strong indicator that they're heavily cutting costs on their rent by either living in a very low cost of living area or living in a part of town that is not particularly nice, and that is why they are sabotaging their chances. One of the guys whose profiles I was looking at, he lived in a building that was right next to a luxury building that he could afford, but rather than living in a building with nicer facilities, nicer foyer, nicer finishings in his apartment, which he could afford, he chose to cut costs by living in the less nice building that was literally right next door. Same street, same part of town. This is an indicator that this guy has that constantly cutting costs mentality, even if he can afford it, and he's going to bring that mentality to your relationship. So you want to analyze where they're trying to cut costs, and if you're completely comfortable with that, no problem. But if you're not, then it's something you want to have a conversation about on the first date. And lastly, money mindset, all of these choices come down to their money mindset, which I think for 100% of these guys, they've absorbed because of having immigrant parents who grew up in India at a time when India was a poorer country and in families where money wasn't flowing like water. So they imbibed this mentality of, I can't spend, I can't spend, I can't spend, I have to save, I have to save, I have to save. Even though their parents could spend money, their parents didn't work on their own money mindset. So these guys picked up a money mindset that they inherited, probably not even from their parents, but was developed by their grandparents and just never edited because their parents left the grandparents behind in India and moved to the US. So these guys are operating with a highly outdated money mindset, but they don't realize that. Now, something that I've learned from following my mentor, Ramit Sethi, who's a personal finance expert, is that money mindset takes a lot of work to change, but it can be changed if you want to. And the more that you change your money mindset, the more power and the more joy you will experience in day-to-day life, especially in our interpersonal and partner relationships. So Ramit himself had to learn how to work on his own money mindset. He used to, like these guys, spend as little as possible on his housing. He spent as little as possible on his clothes. He wore ill-fitting clothes. He had a diet that didn't suit his fitness goals, and he just gave himself excuses. And as his income grew, especially when he started having a six-figure income, he realized, okay, this is not who I want to be, and he started investing in having a personal trainer, having a meal service where meals were prepared for him, high protein meals, and he is now married to a personal stylist who taught him how to invest in high quality clothing that makes him look like $1 million. So Ramit himself had to work on his own money mindset, and today he teaches other people how to work on their money mindset. He has taught me that you can work on your money mindset if you want to grow. Now, all of these guys, all these Indian men, very successful men, do have that growth mindset, but they are single, so they don't have a wife who's living in their house who's saying, hey, like, do you want to work on our money mindset? We can do that together. Here are some books we could read. Here's a therapist we could go see. Here is a conference or a talk we could attend. So if this is something that is important to you, having a money mindset based around abundance, based around investing in common priorities, even if that priority is designer handbags or going out to nice dinners once a month or trying Michelin star restaurants, then if that guy truly loves you and wants the relationship to thrive and prosper, he will do it. He will change his money mindset from day one. But you're not going to make him want to change his money mindset after you marry him. So please don't enter a relationship with a guy thinking he's going to change because he's going to fall more in love with you. I've made that mistake one too many times, only to realize that people keep the money mindsets that they grew up with 99% of the time, and the rare guy who is actively working to change his money mindset is going to be doing that when he meets you. He's not going to start doing that after he meets you. He's already been doing that before he meets you. As Ramit Sethi did before he met his wife, he had already started investing in a personal trainer. He had already started working on developing his money mindset. So when you meet Indian men who have grown up in the US, most of them have grown up with immigrant parents who have this scarcity based money mindset. It's not anyone's fault, and this is not a criticism. It's just something that stood out to me so much, and that's when I realized these men are so attractive. They're so nice. They would make great husbands. What is the reason they're single? It's because of the scarcity based money mindset, which brings scarcity into all aspects of their life, including love. There is literally a scarcity of love in their lives because their mindset is based around scarcity. So the way to help them grow beyond it is to start with that conversation on date number one and to say, look, abundance is really important to me. Living a rich and full life is really important to me. Here's the list of things that I love to spend money on and I want to spend money on, whether that's taking your parents on a holiday every year, whether it's buying lots of beautiful diamond jewelry, or whether it's buying a really nice mattress that the two of you can sleep on every single night. Have that conversation from day one so that it's clear for both of you if the relationship could work or not. He will tell you men are simple as long as you open up that conversation and you lead with your values and what is important to you around spending.